Let's
So
get
the
it.
news just broke today. Deandre Hopkins is signing with the Tennessee Titans, something we did talk about and joke about a few weeks ago. Do you see this as a good move for them? What's your interpretation of this whole move?
I think it's a good move for them. First, I want to say, I guess I'm not as surprised that DeAndre Hopkins signed with the Titans, seeing as though like he really only had two options the past couple of weeks after he weeded out the Bills and the Chiefs. He was flirting around with the Titans and also the Patriots. So you can definitely tell he's not ring chasing. He's getting his money, which is fine. It's fair. Like if I had a chance to get $26 million up to 32 over a 2-year time span, I would do the same exact thing. But to your first question, Emmett. So I didn't really expect the Titans to actually land them, and this is huge for them because now they have a solid wide receiver one. They don't need to run Derrick Henry into like the ground. I don't know. I can't think of the number of carries off the top of my head, but he had hundreds for the past like 4 seasons, like every single season. It was
over
a lot.
300 at least.
He put the team on his back, excluding the years where they had AJ Brown, of course. But I think it's a huge pickup for them. I mean, the Jaguars were almost a lock for the AFC South, and now you have the Titans with a true wide receiver one. Can they possibly make a run for that? Could they possibly make life tough for the Jaguars? So I think it's a really good pickup. What are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I think with this, it kind of makes you have to pump the brakes on the whole Jaguars running the AFC South conversation. I mean, if we're going to look at it, and I did go back and look at this, the Titans actually made the playoffs in 3 of the last 4 seasons. It was just a few years ago they were actually in the AFC Championship game. Even last year, 2 years ago, which I believe was the first year they didn't have AJ Brown or some no, but it was a couple years ago. They still made it to the divisional round with still Ryan Tannehill at the quarterback, a weakened defense. So I think this really does open up a whole lot more for them. You really can't just sit here and hand this division to the Jaguars anymore. And I kind of think they might just become the new sleeper team to actually make a big run. I'm not going to go as far as say they can make it to the Super Bowl, but, you now have a legitimate passing attack. It slides Trey Burks into a more natural fit for him at number 2. Robert Woods now goes to number 3, and he's in the slot, and that's a dangerous slot receiver. Derrick Henry now is more of you can't just, fill the box for him. So he's going to eat a lot more, and he's going to be healthier throughout the season because he's not going to need to take 350 carries. You can now cut that down to 275, something a little bit more healthier for him. And like I said, it should lighten the box load. And I'll definitely keep him, healthy throughout the year. Plus, they did make some improvements on defense as well. I kind of forgot about. They did sign Azeez Al-Shaair from the 49ers, who was our linebacker 3, who was primed to take over in a bigger role, but we obviously just didn't have that there with Fred Warner and Drake Greenlaw. And now he finally gets to be the Mike in Nashville. They also took Arden Key from us, who's a rotational contributor D lineman, a little bit of a tweener of D tackle, D end.
Sure.
He'll pair with Jarrell Casey and Harold Landry on that D line. So I think they really could make a strong run here. Now we'll see how far it goes, but I'm just saying, don't be surprised if you see them in the divisional round or the championship round. So
dude, I totally forgot that they were in the championship game a couple seasons ago. I'm not sure if this is accurate, but I feel as though Mike Vrabel, is underrated a little bit, but he wins a lot. And again, I don't know if he actually is underrated. I'm not a big Tennessee guy. I don't know. I just don't see a lot of people talk about him in the media circuit, but he knows how to win. He knows how to put a team together and get the most out of that roster.
He was a coach of the year winner a couple of years ago.
Dude, so I don't know. I might have to place a quick bet on the Titans here. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean, I don't know. Yeah. I feel like they're definitely kind of being a forgotten piece there because their offense was really feeling like it's going to be centered around Derrick Henry again. But now when you really start looking at it, and it's crazy. You think, oh, it's just one. Come on, it's just one guy. That shouldn't change everything. But it kind of really does because now it frees up other guys to fit into more natural roles for them. plus taking a load off of your superstar player, which keep him healthier later in the year.
Yeah.
And that's, again, it changes how the defenses can attack you now because they can't, again, try to load the boxes thinking, oh, yeah, try to pass it. Our main focus is stopping Derrick Henry. Now you have to try to stop DeAndre Hopkins.
Yeah.
So,
yeah,
I don't know. I think
they drafted the lineman out of Northwestern too.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
They did. Peter Skronsky.
They beefed up the O-line a little bit too.
Mm-hmm.
So now you add a nice weapon. You can keep Henry fresh a little bit. Dumb question, but I want to get your thoughts on this. So seeing as though Hopkins' deal is 2 years, do you think the Titans then are married to Ryan Tannehill for next 2 seasons, or do you think they make a switch next year in 2024 to I'm assuming Will Levis?
See, that's funny you bring it because I was going to ask you the exact same thing. I was very curious to see when the news was announced what the deal was going to be for, because if it's just a 1-year deal, does that mean it's kind of like, hey, he's tied with Tannehill. Once Tannehill is gone, he's probably going to bounce somewhere else. A 2-year deal can mean one of two things. It can mean either he feels confident that they're going to be competing this year as well as next if they move on to a different rookie quarterback, or that they're going to stick with Tannehill, whether that's, they might franchise tag Tannehill, they might just agree to a 1 more year deal. I think it kind of really depends on how Tennessee feels about their backup quarterback situation, because they do still have Malik Willis there, which we talked about earlier in, I think it was last week's video, potential trade for Zach Wilson. You can check that out up here. No, I'm just kidding. But they still do have Will Levis there. So I think if we see them sign Tannehill for 1 more year, I think that tells us everything we need to know about their backup quarterback situation, and they're going to be looking for a new quarterback in the draft probably next year as well. If they let Tannehill walk, it tells us a little more about how they feel, because they felt confident enough in whoever they have in that room that they wanted to keep DeAndre Hopkins on for it. So I'm probably going to guess it's going to be the first option. I wouldn't be surprised if it's a matter of, they keep Tannehill for 1 more year, based on the same talking points we discussed in, last week's video is, Will Levis is a 2nd-round pick. They don't need to commit to him. It's not like, they got a, 1st-round pick for him or anything like that. It's one of those, he could just be a career backup, and that's still technically considered a successful, pick, selection there, because it's a backup quarterback. That's going to come into play at some point here. So I'd be very curious to see what happens with that. But my guess is they probably, after this year, they negotiate with Tannehill for 1 more year, saying, hey, you're still going to be the star for us. We don't really like our backup selections. And I wouldn't be surprised if Malik Willis is probably cut or traded by the end of training camp. So
yeah. And since you're going to ask me that question, I guess it's only fair for me to give my thoughts too.
Yeah.
I have the same thinking as you. I think it really just depends how this season goes, honestly. If Tannehill is, let's say, knock on wood, he gets hurt, maybe they do think about moving on from him next season. Let's say he just plays poorly, right? They're like, listen, we might as well give Levis a shot. But if things are smooth, right, if they do kind of run the tables a little bit, why not bring him back next year?
Yeah. Also, speaking of which, I forgot to mention this, so I'm going to try to throw this in here right now. They did have a 12-5 record in 2021 and an 11-5 record in 2020. So I mean that was a 12-win team, and that was that might have been Julio Jones as their number 1, and that was kind of more of an aged Julio Jones.
Yeah.
It still feels like DeAndre Hopkins is still in a good prime for him.
I could probably Google it too, but do you have the 2022 record in front of you? Like how big of a dip was it?
I think they went 7-10, but yeah, we can Google that real quick to verify that.
Yeah, 7-10. You're right. And they were only two games back from the Jaguars. Jaguars went 9-8, right?
Yeah.
So you think like, you assume the Jaguars take a step up too, right?
Yeah.
Hopefully they're not the same team as last season, but
right, especially they got Calvin Ridley now.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, just keeping it to Tennessee, this might be the best Tennessee offense we've seen with Tannehill and under Vrabel. So
yeah, now she actually has pretty good weapons. They could imagine that team if they kept AJ Brown.
Yeah. Well, here's the follow-up question to that is, did they sign Dalvin Cook then? My
Yeah,
guess is probably not, because Derrick Henry's already there. You're already committing big money to that. Unless
yeah,
he's going to come in super cheap, I probably wouldn't do it. But I don't hate the idea of Dalvin Cook. No, I shouldn't say that's not really a word. That I think Dalvin Cook, based on the numbers we looked at in our running back video, I think kind of does fit him better as a high-end backup at this point rather than a starter, just based on some of the explosive we're looking at. So if you can give him an opportunity where he gets to, not be used as much, his usage is a little bit more efficient, it could really help revitalize his career. So
yeah. And
no,
didn't the
I wouldn't hate to
Titans?
move.
I'm sorry, I was about to say, didn't the Titans also draft a running back in the 20 like this previous draft class in like the third round? Like, was it like
What was it?
Tajay Spears from Tulane? Is that
Oh, did they get Tajay Spears?
I'm looking it up right now?
Oh, if they did, then never mind. Dalvin Cook's not going there.
Yeah, they picked him in the
Yeah,
third round. Yeah, yep.
yeah,
So I want to see Cook going there, but dude,
yeah,
that's a pretty good like point because Cook made that statement a few weeks back saying like he would
yeah,
love to play with Hopkins and do a little like pair deal here, and yeah, he's
yeah.
not. I mean, no, I
No,
mean, I remember
but
that
even if he
guy.
goes to,
I'm sorry, you can finish your thought.
I was going to say, even if he goes to Miami, which was what he was a favorite to go to anyway, it's still I think a good fit because you still have Raheem Mostert there. You still have, oh my gosh, Ahmad Savad, I believe his name is, the other running back.
Oh yeah,
He's undrafted, who was really good. It gives him a more of an opportunity again to be used in more of a little bit of an efficient role. So he's not taking a big bulk. He's able to just, be used in a more explosive rate.
yeah,
So
agreed.